Today we are grabbing some fresh herbs from the garden and we are making a delicious Southeast Asian inspired dish. Welcome back to Pop Keto, where we aim to help you live a sustainable keto and low carb lifestyle. Today's dish that we're going to do, it's super tasty, it's super good, and on top of that, super easy. So as you saw, I've got some fresh herbs that I'm going to use in today's recipe, but if you are a gardener and you're watching this, I have a question for you. We've been trying to grow our own herbs. In particular, we're looking at basil, coriander, mint, parsley, that sort of thing. Now our basil is not looking great. The leaves are not growing very big and they're a bit discolored. They look a bit like this at the moment actually. So you can see it's just not where it's meant to be. What are we doing wrong? If you know what I should be doing with this basil, please let me know in the comments below or DM us. Either way, we're just really trying to learn as we're going on this. All right, into the dish. Now today's dish, as I've said, it's inspired by Southeast Asian flavors. We've got some of the fresh herbs and things that are from that Vietnamese type cuisine. We've got some fish sauce and a little bit of chili, which sort of leans between Vietnam and Thailand. And then we top it off with a fried egg, which is not unusual in a country sort of like Malaysia. So it's not specifically any country, it's just inspired by a few things there. All right, let's have a quick talk about the carbs that are in this dish and where we will find them. We're using some garlic in this dish, and that's probably going to be the bulk of where we would find carbs in here. However, in the whole dish, we're only using about 4 cloves of garlic, and when you spread that out, 4 portions, you've got a clove of garlic each, so it's not too bad. We're using some salad and there's going to be a little bit of carb in that, but there's also some fiber. The other place where you're going to find some tricky stuff could be in your sauces. Today we are using a soy sauce, a fish sauce, and a hot sauce. Now we've talked about this before. In soy sauce, if you can try and use a gluten-free soy sauce, the very least that's going to do is take out the wheat products, so reduce some of the carbs there, and just have a look on the ingredients and make sure there's no added sugars. The other one, fish sauce. Now fish sauce is often made with a sweetener in it, like sugar or something like that. But again, there are sugar-free versions out there. That's what we prefer to look for. But then again, depending on how clean you're doing your keto or low carb, you might not have a problem with having a fish sauce, which we're using 3 tablespoons of in this entire dish, and it may have just a little bit of sugar in it. We prefer to avoid it where we can, but I'll leave that call up to you. And then lastly, the chili sauce. The sauce that we're using today has no added sugar, no added sweeteners, but it is made from cayenne pepper, which is a fruit, and there are some naturally occurring sugars there. Again, we're only using a little bit, and this product has no added sugar, so keep an eye out when you're buying your chili sauces. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, so the first component that we are going to put together is the salad. Now we're gonna want a good amount of salad each, so we're really gonna bulk out most of it with some spinach. So we're going to call that about 200 grams of spinach. Now the reason we selected spinach here is that when we put this dish together, we're actually going to use some of the juices from the hot mince that we're going to prepare to dress the salad. So these leaves are going to wilt a little bit, they're going to get nice and coated in some of those juices. So using something like lettuce where the wilting probably wouldn't be as desirable, wouldn't work as well as something like spinach. So that's why we've gone spinach here. All right, herbing this thing up. So we are going to put some fresh mint, some fresh coriander, some fresh basil. Now, so for the mint, we're using about 1/4 of a cup of mint. A little bit of fresh mint goes a long way in this dish. And we're just tearing up some of those larger leaves so that they eat a bit better. Next, we're going with the basil, and we're going to use a fair bit of basil. We like basil, so we're probably going to use about 1/2 cup worth of basil. And again, just tearing up some of the bigger slices. It just makes it a little bit nicer as you're eating it, rather than having big bits of basil hanging out your mouth while you're eating. Oh, I tell you what, the mint and the basil is already just smelling amazing. You'll find that when you tear basil, as it sits there over a little bit of time, it'll actually discolor, but it still tastes brilliant. All right, so the coriander, what we are doing here, you could pluck off the leaves if you want, but I like to just sort of clank it up, put in some of the stems as well, because they taste great. Now, I know that coriander can be a little bit divisive. Some people's genetic makeup actually makes it taste like soap to them. If you are one of these people who suffer the affliction of soapy coriander, please feel free to leave this out of the recipe. So we'll just get in there, give this a bit of a toss. Make sure those herbs are spread nicely around. Oh, smells so good. All right, a couple of fresh more ingredients that we want to prepare before we get into the cooking part. Now to try and reduce the carbs a little bit further, we've replaced what would normally use onion with some spring onion. We're going with 3 spring onions, just taking off those outside leaves, which may be a little bit unattractive. Now for garnishing, we're just going to cut off a little bit of this green stuff on the end for us to use later on. Then the rest of it we're going to cut in about 1 centimeter slices, and we're going to put them into the hot mince component of the dish. The last bit we're going to prepare today is some ginger. I'm using my favorite little kitchen device, which is one of these grating plates. It's simple as doing this, and you end up with this beautifully minced ginger. You can always use some minced ginger in a jar that you might get at the supermarket. You could use a grater to get it like this, or you could also just cut it really finely. Should be fine. And today we are using 2 about 1-inch pieces of ginger that we're going to put into the dish. Now, if you're using garlic, now would be a good time to prep that as well, in exactly the same way that we've done the ginger. And you can either grind that or grate it or slice it up finely. Today I'm going to cheat and I'm going to use it out of a jar. Salad set aside, let's get on to the hot bit. We're starting with 750 grams of a beef and pork mixed ground meat. Now this mince is about 20% fat, which is great if you're on high fat, low carb. And flavor-wise, I recommend not going straight beef. You could go straight pork and that'd be delicious as well, but today we've just got the mix. And we're going to cook this till it's nice and browned off. Okay, so you can see that we've got that browning there. We have got a little bit of the Maillard reaction, which I love to see on my meat. Really, if you don't get that, your meat's just going grey as you're cooking it, and it's just tastier to have a bit of that browning. All right, so next we are going to add some of our other ingredients. We're going to add our garlic. Now, as I said, I'm using about 4 cloves worth of garlic here. Then we're also going to put in all our ground ginger. That is going to be lovely. And we'll give this a bit of a stir. So once we've browned the meat, we've actually turned the heat down on the pan a bit. We want to cook through the garlic and the ginger just so that they lose some of that raw taste, but we don't want to burn them. I'll tell you what, every bit of this dish smells amazing. Right now, the garlic and the ginger, so good. All right, so next we're going to add some of our salty ingredients. This here is our gluten-free soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce that we're throwing in at the moment. And it's followed by 3 tablespoons of fish sauce. Again, look for the sugar-free fish sauce if you can. Oh, and the smell's just changed again. So good. Next, we're going to throw in our spring onion. Pop that all in there. Stir that through. That doesn't need long to cook, that bit. And the last ingredient that we're popping in here is our hot sauce. Now this hot sauce is not too bad. It's a fairly mild sauce, and putting in 2 tablespoons of this is enough to give it just a little bit of a hum of chili. Like, it's not gonna blow your head off. It's just enough so that after you've finished the mouthful and you've had all the flavors come through, it's just a little bit at the end that goes, yeah, a little bit of chili for you. I mean, if you love hot sauce, you could always put a bit more in there. You could try replacing it with fresh chili. Like I said, this is a sugar-free sauce, but it's similar to the lines of, say, something like sriracha. If you've got a sugar-free sriracha, that'd be perfect as well. That is about done. So I've just turned the heat off that. Now let's put it together. All right, we're going to start with a big heaping of this salad part, making sure we get lots of herbs in there. And as I've said, the heat from the meat and the juices from that should help it wilt down a little bit. Then we put in our minced meat mixture. How's that for alliteration? And we want to make sure we get some of the liquid in there as well, because we want to stir that through the salad. It's going to be yum as. Now, while we've been doing this, I have been cheeky and I've whipped up a fried egg just on the hot plate behind me, and we're just going to pop this on here as well. Boom, and there you have it. That is our Southeast Asian inspired mince with herb salad. And now for the tasting.
Yay! Hey everyone, I am excited.
So one of the best bits about this is if you get the egg right, it gets to ooze all through the salad as well, and that's awesome. And watch that there. Yum. Set a little bit, but getting a bit of that yolk with the mince and then the salad as well, it's so good.
Yeah, mixes really well. And this is such a great quick and easy dinner as well, isn't it? And it's one of those sort of meals that the family really enjoys to have.
All right, let's get into it.
There is so much flavor happening there.
Yeah, you got the fresh herbs. You've got just a little bit of chili buzz.
There is a lot going on there. So for such a simple dish, there is just so much happening there.
Yeah, and we love fish sauce, so it's got a lot of that. Oh, yum! I've just got that little bit of chili just sort of coming through now. It's so good.
Sort of just hums through, doesn't it?
That's the word I've used a few times. But yes, humming through is just sort of a nice, really way of putting it. It's not blowing your head off. It's just sitting there and letting you know that what you're eating is really tasty. So guys, hope you've enjoyed that. Please give this dish a try. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, watch another one of our videos, and we'll see you next week. Bye.